they looked at the event itself as a very, very important event from a typological perspective. So firstly, you have the image of the cross, and these Ismaili thinkers drew a correspondence between the 4 branches of this cross and the 4 words of the Shahada. La ilaha illallah. And of course you all remember that from the poster. And I'm sure many people were sort of like surprised, like why in the world is the 4 words of the Shahada being, juxtaposed on a cross? But this is where it comes from. So they also extended this correspondence to say that the 4 parts of the cross and the 4 words of the Shahada themselves are symbols for the 2 highest beings in the spiritual world, the universal intellect and the universal soul, and the 2 highest dignitaries in the world of faith, which is the prophet and his legatee, his successor, who is the Imam. Then they say that, okay, Jesus was crucified on this structure. They noted that before Jesus was crucified, his mission was not publicly known. Right? His teachings, the fact that he had existed, was pretty much restricted to a small group. But when Jesus was crucified, Jesus was revealed to the public. One could possibly argue on historical grounds that had the crucifixion not happened, would the Christian faith and would the news about Jesus have spread so far and wide? So they argued that the crucifixion was the public revelation of Christ. And they see that as a typology, a preview, a foreshadowing of the future millennial messianic age when the Lord of the resurrection will publicly unveil the inner meaning of all religions. So Sijistani, one of these Ismaili thinkers, writes that Jesus informed his community that the Lord of resurrection, of whom he was the harbinger, will unveil the realities hidden in the forms of the religious laws, and the people will know them and will not deny them. This would be like a whole population seeing someone crucified. What is crucified on the wood becomes something unveiled, although previously it was something concealed. He thus concludes that the cross thus becomes a clear sign and evidence of the ranks of the hierarchy, and most importantly, he writes at the end, Christian veneration of it is something required of them, just as our veneration of the Shahada. And to take this a little bit further, they noted structural similarities between the cross and the Shahada, and these are what they are. So for example, it's noted that the Shahada is one statement about the oneness of God. It has 2 parts. It's made up of 3 Arabic letters. It has 4 words. It has 7 syllables, and it has a total of 12 letters. Then they said the cross has one center point, which is symbolizing the unity of the cross. It has 2 lines. It's made up of lines, angles, and planes. It has 4 branches. It has 7 faces, and it has 12 edges or 12 points, depending on whether it's the Eastern Cross or the Western Cross. So they're trying to show that, listen, these 2 symbols, although outwardly are different, inwardly they must mean the same thing. So then we may ask, okay, so what do they mean? So what the Ismaili thinkers saw is that they saw these numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, as symbols for these degrees in the metaphysical hierarchy. So for example, the center of the cross, the oneness of the Shahada, represents the command of God, which was the source of all things, right? The 2 lines, the 2 parts represent the universal intellect and the universal soul. The three Arabic letters, the 3 planes represent the 3 archangels in that metaphysical hierarchy. The 4 words of the Shahada, the 4 branches of the cross, represent the dyad of the universal intellect, the universal soul, the prophet, and the Imam, who are its manifestations on earth. The 7 syllables of the Shahada, the 7 faces of the cross, represent a small or minor cycle, which for the Ismailis consists of 7 imams. And finally, the 12 letters, the 12 edges of the cross, represent 12 deputies of the imam that the Ismailis believed existed in every time.